Somewhere in the stomping of feet and skinny chicken arms, I may have lost you in the last video, so I just wanted to do a quick follow-up video on Black Friday and what I was trying to say about value. I chose Black Friday because, well, it's topical and YouTube rewards that kind of thing, but also it's a good opportunity to analyze how we in mostly the global north tend to value things, especially commodities. So as any good philosopher should do with their words, I define commodity here to mean anything that satisfies a human need or desire. And that thing could be a physical thing, or it could be a service, up to and including fine dining. What's frustrating about our modern idea of supply and demand is how it values things from the buyer and the seller and leaves out working conditions and conservation of the environment. These things are labeled negative externalities and left out of the value equation. As a system that envelops our daily lives, it's hard to imagine a reality where our current mode of production does not exist, so much so that we have a term for that. While some people might point to the individual trees that are corrupt businesses and point the blame on them, they miss the broader forest of capitalism, which as a mode of production prioritizes accumulation of and production of more capital and commodities. For those of you more familiar with Marxism, you may wonder why I left out the labor theory of value in my previous discussion. That's primarily because I'm just starting to wrap my head around these ideas and I'm just beginning capital, so I didn't want to include something that I didn't have a full grasp on. Regardless, I have still found, even within the beginning chapter of Capital, a framework that provides nuance and a thorough examination of capitalism. I did speak a good bit about the subjective theory of value, which aligns more with our modern economic thought, including supply and demand. To make myself clear, I do want to emphasize that there's a difference between the subjective theory of value and the idea that value is subjective. Even Marx understood that value is subjective, but what the subjective theory of value specifically says is that value comes from a determination between the buyer and seller only. Whichever theory you ascribe to, it's important that we make a distinction between economic theory and theories in the physical sciences. As a study of something more subjective like human behavior, the certainty with which we can prove laws in economics is less so than the certainty that we can find with a more objective observation of the world found in the physical sciences. Now, this isn't to say that things like the law of gravity, God dang, go away, airplane. This isn't to say that gravity and other laws of physical science don't come with their own critiques, but just that there is more interpretation bias with something that is more subjective, or a study that is more subjective. Now, despite all this, it seems like, especially with regard to my education, there's another airplane flying in the sky. That's what I learned. Despite all this, at least in my own education, it seems that laws in both spheres of study are held up with somewhat equal justification. Now, the answer is not that we should throw away supply and demand and other modern economic theory, but instead we should try to consider them within a broader understanding of human behavior. And this includes being open to other theories, even if those theories come along with the baggage of something like Marxism. Bringing it back to Black Friday. The festival of the commodity that I talked about in the last video has really become more like Commodity Heritage Month.
It's Black Friday all month long.
This celebration comes at the cost of more work, more resource extraction, and just generally more stuff. One of my greatest discoveries as a kid was learning how meaningful work can be. But what is the meaningfulness behind the work of an iPhone 14 beyond last year's iPhone? For more intangible objects or commodities, I will direct you to Patrick H. Willem's excellent video on
Content.
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 Content is a state of mind. I think the widespread embrace of the word content actually means something.
Now, I know you're ready for me to shut up, so here are the two primary points that I want you to leave with today. The first thought is that there's no such thing as value found within the atoms that make something up. Value is something that is created by humans and therefore is subject to the time and place of the person or persons doing the valuing. And the second point is that, as Marx and other critics of capitalism would have pointed out, our modern economy contributes to a focus on and therefore valuation of fleeting commodities. So the question that I think we should all ask ourselves is, what does our relationship with things or with commodities say about what we value?